Okay, so so far in this course we have seen deterministic processes, deterministic models. Uh, so there was no uncertainty in the process, uh, and neither did we try to predict something into the future. Um, so today we will study a random process, okay, which is known as Markov chain. How many of you have heard of this term before? Markov chain.
Yes, I heard it.
Yeah, heard the name before.
So how many of you have studied it before?
Just briefly, sir, in one course, not in detail.
Okay. So in order to understand this Markov chain, we will
Hello, sir, your screen is freezed.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, now you're audible.
Yes, I got disconnected, I think. There is some problem happening in Microsoft Teams. Uh, okay, so I was asking that which mathematical tool you already know from your school days to model uncertainties in a system or in a process.
Probability.
Probability, right? So whenever there will be uncertainty, you will have probability. Right? Probability is the only mathematical tool that we know to model uncertainties, right? So in your school days, you have tried to model, the outcome of a toss, right? Um, the outcome of particular events when when the things are not deterministic, right? So whenever we talk about uncertainties, we definitely will need probabilities, you know, as a tool, right? Now coming to random processes. Now from probability, now I think you have already learned it in your mathematics courses in your first year about random variables. So can someone tell me what is a random variable?
Like random variable is a real valued function which takes which maps an element in the sample space to a real number.
Okay. And what are the different random variables you know of, like in terms of distributions?
Discrete random variable, continuous.
Very good. Discrete random variable. So can you name some discrete random variable? Can you name one discrete random variable of
The
some
outcomes of tossing of
distribution?
a coin
Hmm.
or of a dice.
Hmm. So for example, say if I say Boolean random variable, right? A binomial random variable, isn't it? Following binomial distribution. So similarly for continuous, so these are discrete variables, right? And similarly for continuous variables, some continuous random variables are there. For example, normal random variable, Poisson random variable, right? So these are continuous random variables. So these are all preliminary topics that you have already learned in your maths course. So you know what is random variable, discrete, continuous, what do they mean, and then they follow some distribution, right? And how these distributions are defined, their PDF, and all these things you know, right? So I'll not explain all these things. So what I do, I'll first give you an example, and we'll try to see what kind of random variable we are talking about here, and whether you can find any similarity with the things that you have already learned, or we have to define the distributions for these random variables separately. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is some problem. No, why it is happening. Okay. Anyway, so first I'll give an example. Okay. Say you already you already have the experience of writing these app cabs, the demand driven cab service, right? Like for example Uber or Ola, right? So take an example of an Uber taxi. Let us understand this example. Okay. Now suppose the driver, he owns this car, Uber car, and he only serves between these three locations: airport, the downtown, and a cluster of hotels. Okay. So he only accepts the passengers for which the source and destination should be either should belong to these locations, either the airport or the downtown in the city, right, or a cluster of hotels. Okay. Now suppose we are interested to know, suppose he starts from the airport and then comes to downtown, and then from downtown he may get another booking, he may go to some hotel, again from the hotel he may come to the airport. So in this way he travels during that. Now suppose we want to know that, suppose he has left from the airport and we have some question, right? The question is, that what is the probability that you will come back to the airport after having 3 trips. So here we are talking in terms of trips. So say airport to downtown is 1 trip, then downtown to some hotel is another trip. So I want to know the probability with which the taxi will come back to the airport after making 2 trips. It may not come back, right? But there is a chance of coming back also, and I want to know that probability. Similarly, I may ask that you know say if the cab is in downtown, then how many trips on the average will occur before it next reaches the airport, right? Or I may have another question, over a long period of time, what fraction of the trips are to the airport? So these are different questions I can pose, you know, to this particular process. Okay. So you can understand that all these things, all these questions are, you know, involve uncertainties, right? And you cannot answer this question unless you model you know these uncertainties in terms of probabilities, and then you can try to answer. Okay. So here, say, so my clock time is in terms of trips. In terms of trips, right? So I'm not interested in the time as such, that the travel time. I'm interested, I mean, I have set the clock in terms of the number of trips. Okay. So here I am defining, say, two things. One is the epoch, and another one is the state. Okay. So epochs and state, say. And if I draw a timeline in terms of the epoch, okay, so it starts at 0, right? Say say these are different epochs in terms of time, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. And there are, say, 3 states. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now, how do we define epoch and state of this random process? So, state, you mean epoch is the time, basically, you know, some discrete time in the timeline. So epoch 0 means the starting time. Epoch 1 means the, you know, after making the first trip. Similarly, 2 means after making the second trip. So in this way, you know, you can interpret the time. Okay, because I have set this clock in terms of number of, in terms of trips, basically, right? Okay. And there's a state, these are the states 1, 2, 3. As I have said, it operates between airport, downtown, and the hotels. Okay. So how many states are there? 3 states. So it can be either one of them at any epoch, right? So these are denoted by 1, 2, 3. Now, if I try to plot, so if I try to gather the data, you know, I track the movement of the taxi and gather the data and try to fill in this plot. So how it will look like? So at epoch 1, maybe it will be here. At epoch 2, it may be here, right? At state 2. Epoch 3, it may be at state 3. right? So this is just some random plot. Suppose we have collected this data, right? Again at epoch 1. So like this, you can gather the data. Fine. So this is called the realization of the process. Realization of the process. So for each epoch, if you know the state, so you can easily plot in the graph, and this is technically known as the realization of the process. Okay. Is it clear up to this?
Yes, sir.
That what is the random process in this example, and how do you define epoch, how do you define state, and what is the realization of the process? Okay. Now,
Yes.
Now what we want to know, what were the questions? That after making 2 trips, what is the probability that it will be there? Okay. Now to answer this question, what kind of random variable do you need to define? So I am interested to know what is the decision here? Interested to know that which state it will be at some particular epoch. Even I can ask after making 100 trips, what is the probability that it will be at the airport? Right. That question can also be asked. So basically, here the question revolves around the probability of being in certain state at particular epoch. So what will be my variable, random variable? How do I define it then?
For each time, we'll keep one random variable, xt for time t.
xt for time t, right? Very good. So here I can easily define a variable xt. So what will be the value of xt? It will be either 1 or 2 or 3. One of those 3 states, right? And so how many random variables I'll be having? Many. Many. Say if I fix the planning horizon as 1 day, then in 1 day we do not know how many trips it will make. It may make 100 trips. It may make 1,000 trips, right? So it is many, finitely many. T can go on. Okay. Now, of course, you can set some upper limit to that. Okay, the driver decides that it can maximum make say 100 trips per day, so we can at max be 100. Okay. Okay. So essentially we have many random variables like x1. So it starts with 0, x0, x1, x2, x3 like this. So these are different random variables. And what is the meaning of this? x1, the state of the system at epoch 1. Similarly, x3, the state of the system at epoch 3. Fine. Now, since the time scale that we have considered is discrete, it is not continuous. Like we are not considering 1.5 or 2.5. So this is why it is called discrete time stochastic process. So this random process, particular example in question, can be modeled as discrete time stochastic process. Discrete time is understood, okay, because the times are discrete here. The epochs are discrete. And why is stochastic process? Why we are calling it stochastic? Why not simply probabilistic process? We could also term it as probabilistic process, right? Why? What is the meaning of stochastic? See, English meaning, if you look at the English meaning, it is probabilistic only. But technically, mathematically, we use stochastic only when the dimension of time is involved. Here the time is important. So compare it with the coin tossing. So there it is a probabilistic process, because there we are not interested to track the time. Simply we want to know that if 100 tosses are there, then how many heads and how many tails. Right? So we are not interested in tracking the time there, that when the head came or when the tail came. So if we are not interested in the time, then it is simple probabilistic process, random process. You can call it random process also. But when we are explicitly tracking the time in a probabilistic process, we call it a stochastic process. So this is the linguistic, difference in the terminology. Okay, fine. So now I can easily, for this example, we can easily draw a transition diagram between the states and try to define the probabilities. Okay. So 3 states are there: airport, hotels, and downtown, right? So 1, 2, and 3. So 3 states are there. Now, in order to define the probabilities, we need to collect the data, because say if I say from state 1, what is the probability that it will go to state 2, or it will remain in the same state, or it will go to state 3. So naturally the sum of all these probabilities should be how much?
1.
1.
1, right? Because only 3 such possibilities are there if the taxi is parked at, is at state 1, say at the airport. So only 3 events can happen. So accordingly, so sum of these. So similarly, you can also, define the probabilities for the other events, right? So this will be the complete transition diagram for the example at hand. Okay. So these arcs are called real transitions. Okay, real transition. Why? Because the taxi actually moves from one state to another state, whereas these self loops, these are called self loops, right? Self loops. These are called virtual transitions. Okay. So what does it mean? Say 2 is downtown. So at some epoch, say 1, it is at downtown. So if it chooses to be at the downtown, right? So that probability will be this much. Say if it is 0.5, that it will remain at the downtown. So if at some epoch 1 it is at downtown, what is the probability that epoch 2 also it will be at the downtown? So that probability is given by this point. So it is actually not moving, so it is called virtual transition. Okay. So these are the different transition, transitions possible, and this whole diagram is known as transition diagram. Transition diagram. Okay. Next. So here you see this, for this particular example, this is one observation that we have only drawn from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. Okay. So if the taxi moves from this state 2, if it is at state 2, then the probability whether it will go to 3 or to 1 will remain unaffected, by its previous travel history, isn't it? Suppose it has come from airport 1 to say the hotel at 3, and then it had moved to 2. So currently it is at 2. Then if you are interested to know what is the probability that it will come back to the airport, to 1. Now these will be given by the probability associated with this arc, and these will not change. These will not change. These will remain fixed, independent of the travel history. So that is why in this example, these probability distributions are also known as stationary distributions. Stationary distributions, because they do not change with time. With epoch, they do not change. Is it understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we need to know what are these, how to define these probabilities, how to model these probabilities, and in fact how to define the distributions of the variables. So we have defined variables xt. So how to, so the moment you define a variable, random variable xt, you need to attach a distribution. Otherwise there is no meaning of defining a random variable, right? Unless it follows some distribution. So you have to define distribution of xt's. So in your maths courses, you have seen that suppose you define a normal variable x. So immediately you say that x follows normal some mu sigma square, right? Similarly for Poisson, other variables also. Now, so what is the meaning? So that particular variable has a certain PDF, follows a certain PDF probability density function, which has some form, and with mean mu and variance sigma square, right? Now here we see that we have multiple variables, x0, x1, x2, x3, right? And we also see that these variables are to some extent dependent on each other, right? So it is not that these variables are completely independent, so that I can just define the distributions independently. That is not possible. So when I consider say x1, what is x1? x1 is the state of the system at epoch 1. Now, which variable actually influences x1? Can you tell me?
x0.
x0, because you need to know x0, the value of x0, to understand the state of the system at epoch 1, because you need to know the immediate predecessor, immediate predecessor state, right? x0. So you see x0 and x1, these are not independent, these are dependent variables, right? But luckily for this system, if you consider say x2, so which means the state of the system at epoch 2. Now can you tell me for this example that which variables affect x2, influence x2?
x1.
Only x1, right? Not x0. So we see a particular pattern here for this type of system. And what is that? That the state at a particular epoch is only dependent on immediately previous
State.
Right? Not the past states, not all the past states, only immediately past state. Similarly, it influences only the immediate successor state, not all successor states. only immediate successive state. Now this property has a special name which is known as Markov property. And this is observed in many random processes. So the moment you observe this property in some random process, you call it as a Markov process. Okay, and so this property is known as Markov property because Markov found this and modeled this property. Okay. Why I'm deleting again and again? I don't understand. How to redo? Okay, leave it. So x0, x1, x2. So this property is known as Markov property. Okay, and if a process has this property, then it is known as Markov process. Okay. For example, this transportation problem that we have just discussed, it has this property, inbuilt property. It is not that you are putting that property. So you have to study the natural property of a process and then deduce whether it is a Markov process or not. So it is not true. I mean, it is not the case that all random processes are Markov. There may be many other processes. So we are interested only in Markov processes where this property is observed. Okay. And in fact, in real world, you can find many such processes. So now, if you refer to the transition diagram, 1, 2, and 3, so we had these arcs, right? These are self loops. So let us define, now let us try to define the distribution for these variables, x0, x1, x2. So for this, we need so these will be defined in terms of probability. Right. So in the transition diagram, what are the different probabilities we see? So like for example, this will be say P11. So if I define Pij is a probability, that x1 is j given x0 is I. See if I define like this, that Pij is the transition probability. It is called transition probability. Okay. That given x0 is I, is at state I, what is the probability that x1 will be j? Okay, Pij. And these random variables x0, x1, x2, they will be defined in terms of, their distribution will be defined in terms of these transition probabilities, Bij's. Okay. Now, how many such transition probabilities will be there for this system?
9.
Right. And we can call it as a transition matrix. Okay. So this is known as transition probability. And we can call all these 9 probabilities that are possible as transition matrix, and I can write it as P, P11, P12, P13, similarly P21, P22, P33, P31, 32, 23, and 33. Right. So all these 9 probabilities. So this is defined. This is known as transition matrix. Okay. Okay. Clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let us see how we can define the distribution of different variables using this transition matrix or transition probabilities. So for example, let us take the distribution of x1. Okay. For the time being, let us consider this initial state is known. So say x0 is 1, this is known. The initial location of the taxi is known at the beginning of the day. You know, it is at the airport. Okay. It starts its journey from there. So now this can be relaxed also. I mean, it is not necessary that this will be known all the time. It can also be uncertain. So we'll come to that. But for the time being, let us assume that the initial state is known, that is 1. Okay. Now, how to write the distribution of x1? So what will be the distribution of x1? Provided at epoch 0, it is at the airport at node 1, right? Then I want to know the distribution of x1. Distribution x1, what is x1? x1 is the state of the system of the car at epoch 1. So immediately next state. So at the immediately next step, where it will be? That is given by x1. Now what is the distribution of x1? Distribution means probability distribution. So in how many states it can be at epoch 1?
3.
In 3 states. Either it can remain at 1, right? Or it can go to 2, or it can go to 3. So 3 probabilities will give the distribution of x1. And what are those probabilities?
P11, P11,
P12,
P1.
P13.
Right. P11, P12, and P13. This one. Fine. So I see that you know, if I know x0, that is the initial location, then immediately from the transition matrix I can get the probabilities, this distribution of x1. Right. Similarly, if x0 is say 2, is at 2, initial location is 2, then the second row of the transition matrix will give me the distribution of x1. Right. Very good. So far understood. Now let us see what is the distribution of x2. Now, distribution of x2. Distribution means you have to clearly define the probabilities in the system. Okay. So either you can define it from some function like you do in the normal distribution, right, or Poisson distribution. You take the value from the function, right, or you can give some fixed quantity also, like even see in the this uniform distribution, right? Fixed quantity is there as the value of the random variable. Okay, so now let us see what is the distribution of x2. So x2 means what? The state of the system at epoch 2. That means at the end of 2 trips, where it will be. What is information that you have? The initial location, that is x0. That is given to you, right? x0 is at the airport. Then how do you compute the distribution of x2?
So one way is we square the matrix P and then look at its first row.
Yes. So that is true. So I'll just explain how this is being, you know, computed. So again, I am drawing the realization diagram. 1, 2, 3. These are 3 states, and these are epochs. Right. Say epoch 0, epoch 1, and epoch 2. Okay. So at epoch 0, it is there in the 1. So here. So this is the initial location. What I want to know, the distribution of x2. So at epoch 2, it can be either at 1 or 2 or 3. Suppose I am interested to know that at 1. So what is the probability? So I can write the probability I want to know is that x2 is 1, right? Given x0 is 1. This is the probability, right? Similarly, other possibilities are x2 2 given x0 1 and x2 is 3 given x0 is 1. So these three probabilities define the distribution of x2. Let us see how we get the first probability. So it cannot jump from epoch 0 to epoch 2. It has to go through epoch 1, right? It has to first make one trip and then the second trip, right? Now, for the first trip, we already know the distribution of x1, right? So it can go either here in the first or here or here. All these three places, right? And then it can come here at 1. Okay. What are these probabilities? What is this probability? 1, 2, 3.
P1.
P13. What is this probability? P
1, 2,
1, 2 and P11.
1, 1.
Right. And what are these probabilities? Say
P1, P3, 1, P3, 2.
now you
P2,
see,
3.
so the transition diagram gives you the stationary probabilities, right? So it doesn't change. It doesn't depend on epoch. So it remains the same. So I can write 3 to 2 and then sorry, 3 to 1. Yeah, 3 1 and 2 to 1 and then 1 to 1. Fine. So what will be then the probability, total probability? It will be the multiplication.
Yeah, and then addition.
Why multiplication?
Both are independent events.
Independent events, right? So when the passenger booked the car at epoch 1, it doesn't matter, from where it has traveled, from, right? So these are independent events. So you can easily multiply this probability and then sum them up to get the total probability. And interestingly, it turns out that it is as you have said, it is the square of the first row of this matrix, right? So if I take p square, so I'm just writing here in terms of notation now. So all these probabilities that I have written here, they are in short written like this: P11, and then in the superscript it is written like this. So it means that what is the probability that, so it has started from 1 and then it will be again at the state 1 after making 2 trips, epoch 2, right? So this is how it is written mathematically, notation. So this is P11 times P11 plus P12 times P21 plus P13 times P31, right? And essentially, if you look at this, so this is the transition matrix. So if you take the second step transition matrix, so which is P times P. So this is the first step transition matrix, right? So for the distribution of x1, I could directly read from the row because the first order. Then if I take the second step, transition matrix, which is the simply multiplication of these two matrices. So which I also write as P square. Then in this P square, what will give you this probability P22, P11?
First row, first column element. The first row and first column element will give P11.
So first of all, tell me that what will be the dimension of P2, P square basically.
3 cross 3.
3 cross 3 only, right? Now here I want to know P11, 2. So 2 means that P square. So in the P square matrix, I'll read 1 1 element, right? That means first row, first column, right? 1 1 cell, correct? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So similarly, from this P square, you can also get P1 2 and then P1 3 and many other things, you know. So if you change the initial state to 2, so then you will come to the second row, and that second row elements will give you the second step transition probabilities, right? Similarly, if you change your initial location to 3, then the third row will be it. So essentially it is the same. So when we are defining the distribution of x1, then we can directly read the distribution from the given transition matrix. But for the higher epochs, so for example for x2 or x3 or x4, we have to raise that transition matrix to an equivalent power. So for x2 I have raised p to p2, then p square. So similarly for x3 I'll have to raise it to p3, p cube, right? Similarly for say p100, if I want to raise after 100 trips. So simply you multiply this matrix 100 times with itself. So it will be p raised to the power 100, and then that element, particular element p11 or p12 will give you that transition, probability basically. So this is the beauty of this transition matrix, because otherwise it would have been very difficult. You have to because of this Markov property and the independence of the events, simply raising the matrix to the equivalent power gives you these step probabilities. Is it clear how the transition? So now we can say that we have now defined the distributions of xt. All the probabilities that govern these xt are now known to us. How? From this transition matrix. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes, sir.
Now apart from these probabilities, stationary, so in order to fully characterize a Markov process, you have to remember three things. That what is a Markov process? First one is the Markov property. The process must have the Markov property. And what is the Markov property? That the state of the present state is influenced only by the immediately past state, okay, and can influence only on the immediate successor state. So this is the Markov property. Second one is the stationarity of the distribution. That means this P11, P12, P13, these values, they are same for any epoch. So what do I mean by that? That if I write P x1 equal to 1 given x0 equal to 1, so this is given by P11, right? If I write Px100 equal to 1 given x99 equal to 1, this is also given by P1, isn't it? So these are the stationarity. This property is known as a stationarity of the distribution. Okay, probability is the same. So this is the second point. And third point is that x naught is certain. So we have assumed that the initial state is known. So if you have these three properties, then it fully characterizes the Markov process, right? And you can get the full distribution of the random variables that you define. Now it may be possible that these states, the initial state may not be known. The initial state may also be uncertain. Then can you tell me how to go about it? That how to so here, for example, for the distribution of x2, we are interested to know that p112. That means it has started. The initial state is 1, final state is 1 at epoch 2. Now the initial state we do not know. Say it is uncertain. So I can only say what is the probability that x2. What is the probability that x2 will be at state 2? What is this probability? So I have not put anything like given x not equal to something, because that is not known. No. So tomorrow you tell me that how to compute this probability. You should be able to tell me. So because x naught is uncertain, so x naught itself has a distribution on its own. And what is that distribution? X naught. What is the distribution of x naught?
Uniform
That
distribution.
initially where it is, right? Initially. So it can be either of the three states, 1, 2, 3. But this is not given by the transition diagram, because as such no transition has happened so far. It is only at the initial state. So you can assume that it can be at any of these three states equally likely. So you can assume 0.33 probability. So the distribution of x naught is given by, say, p naught, which is the 0.33, 0.33, 0.33. Say equally likely. Or you can also say that no, because the taxi, the driver stays at the airport, so it has to, so you can give some more probability. So this depends on the data and the problem that you are considering, right? But tomorrow you have to tell me, suppose it is equally likely that the taxi will be at any of these three states initially, then what is the probability that x2 will be equal to 2? How to compute it? Okay. So any questions so far? Have you all understood what is a Markov process? Why we are calling it as a Markov process? How we are defining the random variables? Transition diagram, very important. The idea of this transition matrix, very, very important. And then how we are defining the distribution of the random variables, xt's. And this beautiful property that any state probability can be computed by raising the transition matrix to an equivalent power. A very, very strong and beautiful property, right? This makes our life very easy for the Markov chain, Is it all understood?
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow you tell me what is the probability x2 equal to 2, given that the cab can start, can be at any of the three locations equally likely, with equally likely probability. Okay. Fine. You have to take the help of this transition matrix as well as the initial distribution x naught of x naught. Okay. Just think about it. It is very easy. You have to simply multiply that initial distribution. So you have to first assume that it is at a state 1, then what is the probability that x will be 2. Then it is initially it is at 2, then what is the probability? Then it is at 3, then what? Then you have to simply sum it up. Okay? Tell me the answer tomorrow.